The 1980s were a ridiculous decade for sci-fi. Killer robots, alien nightmares, dystopian futures, digital worlds, time travel classics. This era was absolutely loaded.
And the crazy part is, the 80s didn't just give us a lot of sci-fi movies, it gave us some of the most important ones ever made.
So today, we're ranking the top 10 sci-fi films of the decade. And one quick rule before we start. If a trilogy or franchise had multiple great entries, we pick the one movie we think represents it best, even if the others were right there with it. And if you enjoyed these types of video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
At number 10, we're starting with Dune. And yeah, this is probably the most decisive pick on the list, but it earns its spot because of sheer ambition. This movie feels enormous, dense lore, bizarre imagery, giant ideas, and a scale that most sci-fi movies wouldn't even dare to attempt.
Exactly. Dune is messy, no question, but it's also unforgettable. Between the prophecy, the politics, the noble houses, the desert warfare, and the sandworms, it's the kind of movie that swings so big you almost have to respect it even when it doesn't fully land.
Recommendation: watch with patience.
At number 9, Tron. This is one of those movies that gets more impressive the farther away we get from it. The plot is pretty basic, but the concept of entering a digital world and turning computer systems into this glowing neon arena was way ahead of its time.
That's why it belongs here. Tron isn't making the list because it's the most emotionally rich film of the decade. It's here because its visual identity is iconic. Light cycles, glowing suits, digital landscapes. This movie basically helped shape what people thought cyberspace looked like.
Recommendation: watch for the vibes.
At number 8, Akira. This movie feels like a shock to the system. It's not just one of the greatest animated sci-fi movies ever made, it's one of the bloodiest movies of that time period. Neo Tokyo feels unstable, violent, and like it could tear itself apart at any moment.
And that's what makes it so powerful. Akira isn't just visually insane, it's also loaded with ideas. Power, corruption, fear, identity, social collapse. And the animation still looks unbelievable. This is one of those films that didn't just age well, it still feels ahead of people.
Recommendation: absolute must watch.
At number 7, The Terminator. What makes this movie work so well is how stripped down it is. One unstoppable machine, one target, and this constant feeling that the future has already decided you are dead.
Yeah, and that simplicity is exactly what makes it hit so hard. Before the franchise got bigger and louder, this one felt cold, nasty, and almost like a horror movie with sci-fi machinery underneath. It's tense, efficient, and completely relentless.
Recommendation: must watch.
Coming in at number 6, The Thing. This one is basically paranoia in movie form. On paper, it's an alien story set in an isolated outpost. But what really makes it special is how it destroys trust. Nobody knows who's human, nobody knows who's next, and the tension just keeps getting worse.
And then you add those effects, which are still disgusting in the best way possible. But the brilliance of The Thing is that the monster isn't the only threat. Uncertainty is. The movie understands that the scariest thing in the room is not knowing who to believe.
Recommendation: must watch if you can stomach some gory horror.
At number 5, Blade Runner. This is one of the most influential sci-fi films ever made. The story matters, obviously, but the atmosphere is what really locks it in. Rain, neon, smoke, decay, loneliness. This movie builds one of the most iconic futures in cinema.
And it lasts because it's not just stylish. Underneath all the visual genius, it's asking huge questions about memory, identity, mortality, and what it even means to be human. It's moody, philosophical, and probably one of the most copied sci-fi aesthetics ever put on screen.
Recommendation: must watch for any sci-fi fan.
At number 4, we're going with the first Back to the Future. And if we're picking one movie from the trilogy, it's this one. It's the cleanest, funniest, and most iconic version of the concept, and honestly, one of the most rewatchable sci-fi movies ever made.
That's what makes it so hard to argue against. Time travel can get messy fast, but this movie makes it feel effortless. Marty, Doc, the DeLorean, the clock tower, the 50s setting, everything clicks. It's clever without ever feeling heavy, and fun without ever feeling dumb.
Recommendation: absolute must watch.
At number 3, Aliens. This is exactly why we made that franchise rule. We had to choose one, and Aliens earns it by taking the original setup and turning it into one of the greatest sci-fi action movies ever made.
That's the magic of it. It goes bigger and louder than Alien, but it never stops feeling dangerous. The xenomorphs are still terrifying, Ripley is amazing, and the movie somehow manages to be tense, emotional, action-packed, and crowd-pleasing all at the same time.
Recommendation: must watch immediately.
At number 2, Predator. And yes, it's probably the boldest placement on the list, but there's a real case for it. This movie is almost perfect at what it sets out to do. It starts like a full-on macho action film, then slowly turns into a sci-fi survival nightmare.
Exactly. Once the hunter reveals itself, the movie just locks in. The jungle setting is perfect, the creature design is legendary, and the structure is so tight that it never wastes a second. It's action, horror, and sci-fi fused together in one of the coolest packages the decade ever produced.
Recommendation: absolute must watch.
Before we get to number 1, we have got one honorable mention: Escape from New York. This one just missed the main list, but it absolutely deserves a shout out. The setup is brilliant, Snake Plissken is an icon, and the movie has that rough, stripped down dystopian flavor that makes it instantly memorable.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that feel bigger than its actual ranking. It's not as polished as some of the films in the top 10, but the mood, the concept, and Kurt Russell's presence carry it hard. It's pure cult sci-fi cool.
Recommendation: highly recommended for cult sci-fi fans.
At number 1, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. If we're picking the single best movie from a trilogy, this is the one. It's bigger, darker, more emotional, and more confident than the original in basically every way.
That's why it had to take the top spot. You've got Hoth, Yoda, Vader at his most terrifying, Luke's training, Han and Leia, and one of the most famous twists in film history. It's got scale, character, myth, action, emotion, everything you want from a sci-fi epic.
Recommendation: essential viewing.
So that's our ranking of the top 10 sci-fi movies of the 1980s.
And honestly, with a decade this stacked, there were always going to be painful omissions.
So now it's your turn. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? And which movie are you mad didn't make the list?
Drop your ranking in the comments and let us know which placement is going to start the biggest argument.
And if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and stick around for more rankings, reviews, and deep dives.
See you in the next one. Until then, just hold my logic.